The Office of Technology Assessment was established in 1972 to provide Congress with objective, nonpartisan advice on science and technology issues. In a controversial move, Congress eliminated funding for OTA in 1995.
Today, I want to talk to you about reviving the Office of Technology Assessment.
Our next president of the United States, Andrew Yang.
We're in the midst of the greatest economic transformation in the history of the country, what experts are calling the fourth industrial revolution. And I'm running for president to wake America up to the fact that it is not immigrants that are causing dislocations around the country. It is technology and
You may have heard Andrew Yang talk about this once, twice, or many times in his speeches or interviews, town halls, and other events that he's been a part of. I know that this is something that we all need to be interested in. We all should take very, very seriously because technology is the wave that has taken over today, and it will definitely increase into the future. I really appreciate topics that include technology, and I think this is where my affection for the candidate for presidency, Andrew Yang, where our thought patterns and our passions align. Entrepreneurship is one, but technology is a very close second. Technology is the oil of the future. But as Andrew Yang talks about the oil check that Alaska has when he refers to his freedom dividend, he also talks about technology as a way to fund the freedom dividend. So it's a pleasure for me to talk about all of Andrew Yang's policies, but today it's a special pleasure for me to discuss his policy on reviving the Office of Technology Assessment. The House FY20, fiscal year 20, legislative branch appropriations bill includes funding to restore the Office of Technology Assessment. This includes the Office of Technology Assessment Improvement and Enhancement Act. This is money well spent, they say, that will enable Congress to better address the opportunities and challenges of emerging technologies. So you may ask the question, where is this coming from? Why am I starting with that? Well, when I did a little research, because every time Andrew Yang speaks, it compels me to find out a little bit more about the information that he is proposing as policy on his website and into the future when he becomes president. And so I want to be educated on these topics because when I have a conversation with somebody that supports another candidate, Biden, Buttigieg, Warren, Bernie, I want to make sure that I have actual information from Andrew Yang, the candidate that I fully support, and I can respond to them in a way that connects with what they understand, talk to them in their language, and combat whatever it is that they think is correct, either about Andrew Yang or about what's coming in the terms of technology and automation and robotics and AI and all the things that Andrew Yang talks about. And so in this context, in my research, I found out that there is a representative, Bill Foster is one of 4 representatives that decided they would go ahead and propose the Office of Technology Assessment Improvement and Enhancement Act. You may ask the question, when did they propose this? Andrew Yang has been talking about it ever since he's created the website, yang2020.com, as well as when he announced that he would be running for president over 2 years ago. So that being the case, when did Congress decide, or these 4 members of Congress decide, hey, we might need to revive or enhance and bring back the OTA? September 2019, the bill was proposed to reopen the OTA. That was only a few months ago, and Andrew Yang has been talking about it for a year and a half. So it's funny how over time we hear Andrew Yang talk about proposals that he wants to enact and make policy, but everybody, even the candidates that he's running against, they are utilizing his particular words, his programs, his ideas, and putting a twist on it and proposing it as if it's their idea. It's fascinating. Maybe flattering because somebody's copying what Andrea is saying, but at a point, you need to go to the source of the idea, go to the source of the person that revived the idea if it was not original, because he has the best take on how to implement the idea to serve the people, humanity first. So they go on to say, we live in a world where technology has become increasingly important in our personal lives, workplaces, and our democracy. From social media's role in our elections to artificial intelligence and how technology will affect the future of work, Congress is not adequately prepared to engage in technical issues. And this was said by Representative Bill Foster. So even last night on the debate in LA, Andrew Yang talked about how over, I don't know, a decade ago, in 1995, the United States decided to defund the OTA, that Office of Technology Assessment, which was very useful. Like they said, this was money well spent because it enabled Congress to better address the opportunities and challenges of emerging technologies. And so Andrew Yang talks about this, and he elaborated on this last night in LA on the debate stage when he talked about China is light years ahead, maybe 10 years ahead of the US in AI development as well as technology and utilizing data, to pretty much control what happens in social media and elsewhere on the internet. You know that they're winning the 5G game, and they're creating and developing, I say, 6G, experimenting with 6G while we are trying to catch up with 5G. So when he says they're ahead, yes, they are so far ahead, and we need to catch up. So one of his policies that he's proposing is to revive the Office of Technology Assessment. Why wouldn't he? Because that is the smartest thing we can do. It will position us to be winners, or at least catch up, and then we will be in position to control the future of technology if we just get in the game. So he goes on to say, cutting the OTA over 2 decades ago to save money was the dumbest decision ever, and it will likely cost the American people hundreds of times the budget of the OTA based on less efficient and informed legislation. Having a group of technology experts on hand for Congress to consult with, free of industry influence, is common sense and overdue. Let's try to get in front of the true challenges of the 21st century and get Congress the information they need to make intelligent decisions. Quite frankly, the level of technological understanding by some members of our government is embarrassing. Anyone who watched the Congress question Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, is well aware of this, and it makes it unreasonable to expect proper regulation of major tech companies or legislation that addresses the large technological developments to the president and other executive branch staff. The Office of Technology Assessment provided valuable research to our legislative branch until it was phased out in 1995. So it was only enacted for about 20 years, from 1972 to 1995. And for some reason at that point, they decided to defund it and phase it out. Free of the bias of private industry or think tanks, the OTA provided neutral information on the latest technological developments to legislators. Many of these reports, despite being a quarter of a century old, show an amazing pre-science on topics that are still relevant to this day. This vital institution needs to be revived, with a budget large enough and rules flexible enough to draw top talent away from very lucrative private sector, and with the mandate to ensure that our legislators are up to the task of regulating the biggest technological issues of our time. So that is the context in which Andrew Yang has proposed reviving the OTA. So what problems are he trying? What's the problems he's trying to solve? One, Congress lacks a dedicated research arm to provide them with vital information on new technologies in large companies such as Facebook, Google, and Amazon. Second, the executive branch has access to the Office of Science and Technology Policy, creating an asymmetrical and asymmetry in expertise that makes effective oversight by Congress essentially impossible. The second problem he's trying to solve is that the executive branch has access to the Office of Science and Technology Policy. It creates an expertise and asymmetry that makes effective oversight by Congress essentially impossible. I hope that was a little more clear. The third thing he's trying to solve is private sector jobs in this area are extremely lucrative, making it difficult to attract talent into the public sector. What are his goals? Revive the Office of Technology Assessment. 2, provide means for the OTA to attract the relevant talent to ensure quality advice. That will be very expensive, but he's willing to do that, just like he is with all the other policies. Now, here's what Andrew Yang says as president he will do. 1, refuse to sign any budget that doesn't include the revival of the OTA and enough funding to ensure it is staffed at sufficient levels to deliver top quality briefings to members of Congress. 2nd, find ways for the OTA and OSTP, the Office of Science and Technology, to work together to ensure both branches of government have the best information available and Congress can provide proper oversight of the actions of the executive branch. This is to increase the staffing of the OSTP to appropriate levels, similar to those under President Obama, which was about 150. Next, support any changes Congress makes to its compensation structure to ensure that top talent can be attracted to work in the public sector for at least a period of time, including increasing the pay cap above congressional salaries or creating tax breaks for companies that allow employees to defer their employment to work in government for several years. This is the policy that is a game changer for the government or public sector when it comes to competing at levels in the technological race globally that we need to be leading.
Scientists are the ones who tend to speak up for OTA and say we should bring back OTA. We need it. And that's led to a sense by some in Congress that OTA is for the scientists. But of course, I argue to my colleagues, no, certainly not. The scientists don't need OTA. It is the non-scientists who really need OTA. To try to give them a sense that this is not just a science think tank where a bunch of scientists sit around solving equations, having fun with each other. It's not about science policy. It's about workplace rights and health care and long-term family care.
I support Andrew Yang, as I always do. Andrew Yang, he is heads and tails above any other candidate in the presidency race today and all the way to 2020 election time. So that's my spiel on reviving the Office of Technology Assessment that Andrew Yang proposes. If you want more information, please go to yang2020.com and you can see over 150 policy proposals that he has listed right there on his website. Please take a look and join me for our next conversation on the Andrew Yang policy series by Rashid Hill.
with exposure has come, and again, he is still my dark horse VP pick. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again because he represents everything that the old guard is not. And the conversations we're having about automation in the United States of America and auto workers being put out of place in places like McDonald's where you're just going to put in numbers and then your food's going to come out, that conversation is only being done on a debate stage because of this man. And I respect that as well.
You know,